Hello and welcome to HBM's Crypto Corner for Tuesday. It's going to be a special Tuesday edition, March 26, 2019. Today is actually my 49th birthday. So instead of y'all giving me a present, I'm giving y'all a present. A special early HBM's Crypto Corner for this week. Anyway, we got some stuff to talk about, so let's get started. I am very excited to announce that Paul Halsey is putting together the Alabama Bigfoot Conference, which will take place October 4th through the 5th at historical Looney's Tavern in Houston, Alabama. The first speaker has already been announced. It's none other than Lyle Blackburn. And I thought I'd jump the gun a little bit on Paul. Sorry, Paul. I am also going to be a speaker. I'm going to be doing a Q&A at that event. And I'll be the MC. Paul asked me if I'd be the MC and also if I would speak. So I'll be doing just that at the Alabama Bigfoot Conference, October 4th through the 5th. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be very exciting. I'm definitely looking forward to it. So more details as they become available and more speakers as they become available. But as of now, Lyle Blackburn and yours truly are speakers at the Alabama Bigfoot Conference. It's actually called the Bama Bigfoot Conference. Although this says Alabama Bigfoot Conference, it's actually the Bama Bigfoot Conference. So anyway, there you go. Here is a user-submitted report. Apparently an individual who was a retired printer who worked 28 years for the state of Connecticut had a sighting near Berlin, or actually, sighting happened at a different place. Happened in Connecticut, near Berlin, Connecticut. It may have been, wait a minute, this person had a sighting for 2 hours? Wow. Well, that's interesting. Happened in 1989, apparently. I think. Yes, right here, 1989, so nearly 30 years ago. And he didn't put it together that it was a Bigfoot until years later. I'm not sure if the creature was just unaware that he was there, the hunter, or what. That's interesting, though. A 2-hour sighting nearly 30 years ago. Mind-boggling. Here's one that kind of shows a benevolent side to Sasquatch. Bigfoot helps family in Michigan. Apparently, this creature had to, you might say, help a family that was stuck in the mud. Axle of the boat trailer, and apparently they said that this creature helped them to get unstuck. That's interesting. Now here is an alleged photo of a Sasquatch from Michigan. This, of course, this actually happened in Michigan, so very interesting story. I have to say that happened almost 20 years ago, 1999. Fascinating stuff, I tell you that much. Now here's something interesting, and it would almost seem to be a bit unbelievable. A juvenile Bigfoot asking a man for a fish. Somewhere in the Midwest United States in the early 90s. Interesting.
Bigfoot asked me for fish. In 1987, I started to go fishing at a reservoir in an area that later in the 90s would be made into campground. It was a very dark night. You could only see a few feet in front of you, and the stars were the only lights you could see. I noticed something or somebody would come close to me, about a few feet of where I was sitting fishing. When I would look to see who it was, they would take off running, but there was something just not right about it. It was dark, so I could not really see who it was. This person or something would make sounds of amazement, like it was being picked on all of a sudden. You could hear it, or whatever it was, gasping, as if it was caught by surprise, and then it would run off once again, like it was playing a game with me. Since it was so dark, I had to count on my other senses to figure out who or what was taunting me. I could hear its footsteps. They sounded like a heavy white object was being plopped on the ground, and in the darkness I could see these glowing red eyes. Now, this was not my first experience with what I already knew as a Sasquatch. Like I said, I had been going fishing and hunting there before it became the campground. My first encounter with a Sasquatch was another while I was hunting. I was on state land south of the reservoir. I was bird hunting and only had one hunting dog with me at the time. As my dog was out in front of me, a group of turkeys were startled, got up and flew away. All of a sudden, a large figure took a step out of the cedar tree some 60 yards away from me, and then I saw it was a group of three. They were all standing together under a tree that was 25 feet tall and 8 feet across the bottom. Well, the dog ran back scared. I knew it was a Sasquatch, and when the bigger one saw me, it began to yell and wave his arms back and forth. I turned around and started to walk away. After a little ways, I turned back to look. I could see the three Sasquatch still looking at me. I again turned away while I was walking, and when I looked back again, I could see that one was actually carrying a smaller one, and then I began to run away. After that, I began to visit this area more often when I had time, and I had a few more sightings. Now I think these Sasquatch came to know me after a while, and when I visited the fishing and hunting area, they knew it was me for some reason. In the early 90s, the new campground opened. I remember I had so many happy days when I would go there if I had the time. One Saturday, I got there real early. You could hear the campers getting up and around, fixing bacon and eggs, the smells of the first of the day, and you could hear people talking, just enjoying being out. People were talking about how the new campgrounds were so nice and how great it was to be there. I was sitting down in the parking lot near the lake, watching everyone enjoying the beautiful day as I was fishing. Now, people say Sasquatch only come out at night. I knew better, and know they can come out any time. They only use the dark night to hunt. As I am going to say and write, they are out during the daylight hours too. What I know is the younger ones, they are not the hunters, but the larger ones are the hunters. I think the younger ones are curious and want to try something different, so they try to find an easy picking. Well, I was there for the strangest thing that could happen that day. Two Sasquatch came walking around this cove on the lake. When they got to the middle of the parking area near the boat ramp, they stopped and turned to each other, and the bigger one that was close to 7 feet tall begins to gesture, and it looks like it was talking to the little one. It was a language with sounds and hand movements. The bigger one would point to the little one, and then it would gesture and point down. I could see the bigger one wave its hands, flat fingers in a fan. It was apparent to me that the little one was the one to check out the area, and that's exactly what he did. He walked to the boat launch, tried the handrails by pulling and jerking on them, and then walked on top of the pier. The pier moved under his feet. He looked at it like he was testing it out and began to jump on it. Nearby stood a mother and her two kids. The little one walked over to them and began to talk or try to talk to the woman. She looked at him, and I could see in her face that she knew something was not right. She looked at her kids, and I heard her say, "Come on, it's time to go." The amazing part, she looked at him and politely said, "Have a nice day, sir," and walked around him and left him on the pier. Then the little Sasquatch walked back to the parking lot towards me. Now this is the cool part. He stops behind me and begins to try and talk to me. I could tell this was a young Sasquatch. He had black hair all over his body like fur, but his face was human-like, and it had thin facial hairs. He looked like a young boy with facial hair, but its skin was a pale gray color. As he was trying to talk to me, I was looking him over, and he started to back up and turn away. I looked at him, and I said, "No fish." After I said this, the little one just stood there, and just then, I felt a pull on my reel and caught a fish. As I started to pull the fish in and take it off the hook, the little one gets closer to me and begins to try talking again. I have no idea what he is saying. It was like quick mumbles and chatters, and because of this, I got distracted. By mistake, I dropped the fish in the water. All of a sudden, it became upset. Oh, hell. Then I understood what he was trying to say. It wanted the fish.
So that video goes a little bit longer, but could this creature have possibly been attempting to tell this fisherman, "I want a fish"? Now, perhaps the fisherman understood the young creature better than you might expect. Hmm. Well, I mean, obviously the gestures would probably also give it away. If it was gesturing for the fish instead of just talking and ask, and, well, talking in its own language, seemingly asking for the fish. Well, I mean, that to me is fascinating. It really is. We have a passing to report. A fellow named Jay Rowland, who was actually the neighbor of Stephen Stroyford in Willow Creek, California. He passed away. He was age 86. He was apparently a member of the Wallace Brothers construction. Yes, as in Ray Wallace. So he was there when Jerry Crew. He was on Jerry Crew's crew in 1958. Wow. But he apparently was there. He was the neighbor of Stephen Stroyford in Willow Creek. He was originally from Arkansas. Well, that's interesting. So, sort of the last, you might say, remaining link to the 1958 occurrences has passed away. Interesting. It's sad, but everybody passes away eventually. So it happens, folks. Finally, this Friday, the new On the Trail of Bigfoot is being released from Small Town Monsters. I think I've shown you all this article before, but here's the trailer. Now, I've pre-ordered the DVD. Hopefully I should get it maybe this week or week after. Who knows? It looks like it's going to be great, just based on the trailers alone. It looks like this is going to be another tremendous mini-series from Small Town Monsters. But I understand the subject of the third On the Trail of series is going to be UFOs. Last year it was On the Trail of Champ, the Lake Champlain Lake monster. This year it's Bigfoot. Next year it's going to be UFOs. So Hey, Seth Greenlove and Small Town Monsters keep just putting the good stuff out. And, I look forward to seeing more of their upcoming material. They got Terror of the Skies and Momo, the Missouri Monster, coming up this year as well. But yeah, March 29th. That's going to be awesome. This Friday. So anyway, that's going to do it for this week's HBM's Crypto Corner. Thank you very much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, I always appreciate the comments that I get on my videos. Very, very, very appreciative. Thank you very much. Some of you have been very encouraging, and I appreciate that. And you just keep it up. Just keep with the comments, and I'll keep putting out the great material. And hey, y'all be good or be good at it. This has been HBM's Crypto Corner.